afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of What the Why with Barbara Ann on RVN Television. If you haven't seen us before, we feature conversations with diverse leaders from all walks of life about why they do what they do and how they figured things out. Whether you are sick and tired of feeling sick and tired, or you feel stuck and want to get unstuck in your company, job, or life, all of our guests have something in common with you. At some point, they may have felt similarly, and today's no exception. Please join us in welcoming Nicole Greer, MSOD. So we have to ask her what that is. A principal coach and CEO of Vibrant Coaching and Consulting. Nicole helps individuals, corporations, government entities, and nonprofits become the people and entities they were created to be by defining and fulfilling a mission to work better in teams and exemplifying excellent leadership. Using organization development principles, transcendent leadership programs, and coach training, Nicole gives foundational tools, uncommon wisdom, and an advantage in the marketplace. For the past 2 decades, Nicole's been a coach, organizational development consultant, master of first impressions, and leadership trainer in the many facets of business. Her experiences working with various people led her to found Vibrant Coaching and Consulting. She's also a speaker, trainer, facilitator, consultant, in addition to being a life and business coach. It's all coaching is life coaching.
That's exactly
Nicole,
right.
yes, it is. What I love about her, she has the edge. Nicole holds her clients in high esteem and strongly encourages their commitment. She also makes them ask themselves the hard questions that inevitably lead to growth. Whether one-on-one or facilitating change with an entity, her purpose is to enable movement, significant movement. Her approach to organizational development is to energize influence and impact the client's goals, situation, problems, dynamics, or lifestyle. I am thrilled she's joining us today. And so without further ado, please join me in a round of applause in welcoming Nicole Greer to our show.
Yay!
Oh,
Oh my gosh, what an
yay,
introduction.
yay.
Thank you, Barbara Ann. I'm grateful.
Oh, I'm so grateful to have you here too, because I know this has been a journey just getting you here. So we're super happy to have you here today. And after these introductions, a lot of times people are like, oh my gosh, no wonder I'm so tired, or whatever kind of joke they have. But um, the first question that we ask every guest is, after reading all of these things that you're doing, you know, with the exception of one so far, most people didn't really start out thinking they would be doing what they're doing now. So, what did young Nicole want to be when she grew up?
Oh, well, I wanted to be a flight attendant. I wanted to fly the friendly skies. When I was young, I flew on this airline called, don't miss this, TWA, which no longer is around. So for you folks over 50, you know what I'm talking about. But I flew
Yeah.
and these ladies were in these cute little outfits and they were so professional and had their little lipstick on, their little hat on. And I thought, oh my gosh, they're flying all over the planet. That's what I want to be when I grow up because I just have a real love for people, and I'm just so curious about the world and how things work.
Which partially helps answer the next question. So, how did
Oh,
you
okay.
get from wanting to be a flight attendant to where you are now, changing lives in so many different capacities?
Yeah. So I guess I went to the school of hard knocks a little bit, so in your little girl heart, you have big dreams, but then reality, sets in and you have, limitations around you. But despite those limitations, one of the things that has always served me my whole life is that curiosity that I was just talking about. So I was a voracious reader as a kid. And I was born in the 60s, so I was a latchkey kid. I'm a Gen Xer. And so I had literally a chain around my neck with the key to the front door to our little cabin that we lived in Wisconsin. But every day I would get up and get on my bicycle. I would go to the library. And like I was on a first name basis, and sometimes the librarian would find me. I fell asleep in the children's section. would wake me up and say, "You need to go home now." And so, I mean, I just lived at the library with the librarians, and I that has served me my whole life. I'm a really fast reader, and I think that that's one of the things leaders need to be able to do is read. They need to absorb and then they need to apply what they're reading. But that's served me my whole life. So I think just being a lifelong learner and super curious, that's how I got where I am.
Awesome. So you work with all these different entities, and it's interesting because we have a lot of overlap. And
Yeah, we
so,
do.
how did you figure out that, like, working on helping people navigate their journeys and deal with their developmental issues was your thing?
Yeah. Well, my mother, she passed away when I was really young, but she was a teacher. And so one of the little memories I have of my mom was that, I would go to school, like this is like maybe first grade, kindergarten, first grade. And we went, she taught and I was in another classroom being taught. And I would go down to her room and like there were I don't know, all these chalkboards and papers, and she would have me staple things and, do old-fashioned chalkboard with a bucket of water and, and a sponge to get it all cleaned up. And I really, I don't know if maybe somehow I felt the power of how important it is to teach people and for people to learn. So, I used to set up, I don't know, I had Barbie dolls and the teddy bears, and I would set them up and I would play school and that kind of thing. So I've always been that person that wanted to learn something. And then I think the way you really learn, as you probably agree would, is that you teach it to somebody else. And so I played teacher as a kid, and then I've always kind of naturally stepped into a role, no matter where I was in school or in any job that I had. And I was eager to share what I have learned. So, my first real work was in the restaurant business. And so I was onboarded into a Baskin Robbins in 1982 by the owner of the Baskin Robbins in Toledo, Ohio. And he taught me so much about business. And I was very young, I was in my teens. And he taught me everything there was to know about running that little ice cream shop. And I ended up getting the keys to the front door at a very young age and calculating the money and taking things to the bank and doing all this kind of stuff. And then I just kept in the restaurant business for many years. And I was always, let Nicole will train him. Nicole will train him. And so it was just natural. It's one of my, I think, part of my mission in life, really. I was born to do this work. So it unfolded naturally.
Wow, I love wow. So yeah, and it sounds like trustworthy leadership, um, all of those things were all part of how you got those roles at such a young age.
Yeah.
And and I'd say as you've been on this journey, 'cause there's so many people out there. They're at the risk of disparaging other coaches. There are those of us who do actually coach, and there are others out there who call themselves coaches with good intentions but limited results. And you get results. So, talk to me about how you came up because you have a couple of registered marks and trademarks, and how did build a vibrant culture come into being?
Yeah. So I was in the restaurant business for many, many years and I was a trainer. And then one day I was recruited into property management. I was literally running around the Applebee's and this woman recruited me. She's like, "Here's my card, call me." And I was so young, I was like, "Why do you want me to call you?" She's like, "Just call me." So I said, "Okay." So I called her later on the landline and she recruited me into property management and I was training there. So I did that for many, many years. And then I stayed home with my kids for 8 years and coached them and developed them. And then one day they both got on the bus and I was terribly bored. So I went to a women's leadership conference that was through my church. And I saw this woman speak, and her name was Lori Beth Jones. And she wrote a book called The Path. And so I thought she was an incredible speaker. She had an amazing message. And so I went and I got her book. And when I read that book, it was like coming home. I was like, oh my gosh, what this woman is doing is like resonating with me. Like, my head was like excited, but my heart, dare I say it, like my soul, I was like, oh, what she's doing is what I want to do. And I want to take that work further in the world because, the world has need of people who find their path. And so in her book, she's talking about, everybody's born with intention. Nobody's a mistake on planet Earth, and they all have skills, innate talents, a little personality. They've got all these things that they can bring to the world in a positive way. And she lays out kind of a methodology to figure out what your mission is. And so I did the work. I bought the book, I read the book, I did the work in the book. And when I did that, she has a recipe for a personal mission statement, or creating a mission statement for work and life, is how she says it. And so I have a mission statement, and it was Nicole Greer's on a mission to energize, impact, and influence people to lead a more vibrant life. And so that may sound, I don't know, maybe nebulous to some folks, but to me, what that means is I'm going to sit with you and I'm going to ask you powerful questions, which is what a coach does. I'm going to listen actively, which is what a coach does. And then I'm going to use that curiosity I've been talking about since I got on this Zoom with you, uh, to to follow the energy to help you discern, which is different from think about or choose. I'm going to help you discern your path forward. So that's kind of how it all unfolded. And I think coaching, people misunderstand it. I don't think they really know what it is still. Um, but it's a partnership in a creative, thought-provoking process where people improve their personal and their professional lives. That's the definition from ICF, International Coaching Federation, which I know you're very familiar with. So, I want to help people think and discern their way forward. That's what I want to do.
Ah, so well said. Yes. Yes. Even other coaches out there, if you're watching this, yes.
That's
Ditto,
it right there.
exclamation point. That's it. I mean, you are so right on just ditto on all of that. And and what's so great is that um there's room for both of us. Like,
Oh,
like, I, I-
100%.
like I've actually had people that are like, well, why would you have a coach on your podcast? Why would you go on somebody's podcast? Why would you have a coach on your show? I'm like, um, Burger King and McDonald's do pretty well across the street from each other. Wendy's is usually catty corner to them. I'm like,
That's right.
there's lots of different ways of delivering really great stuff. And and it sounds like as part of your journey, and something I can also empathize with, you mentioned the school of hard knocks. There's been some challenges along the way. So what would you say is to the extent you're comfortable, what would you say is one of the greatest challenges that you've overcome on this journey?
Yeah. Well, I just think in general in life, I had a single father, and he tried his best, but he never had a coach, if you know what I mean. So he had a lot of behaviors and habits, and I don't think he did a lot of self-assessment. I don't think he thought long term about, how will this decision impact my future, or what I like to call more vibrant future might look like. I think he was just trying to get through the day, you know. And so while that's the school of hard knocks for me, as I lived around that, I think I was just lucky or blessed because I'm like, I'm not living like that. I'm not going to let things unfold, and I'm not going to live paycheck to paycheck. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to figure out how to make some money and get some stability in my life. I learned from a bad example, although I loved my father and he loved me.
Wow. Yeah, it's interesting because I'm sure this comes up a lot. Our parents did the best they could with the information they had.
That's exactly right.
And
Hmm.
sometimes I'm like, wow, it's amazing that, that it could have been even worse in some instances. They did everything they could to correct. And so it's awesome that you can acknowledge both sides of that.
Oh,
That
100%. Yeah, I mean the guy, I never went hungry. I always had clothes. I always had, brand new tennis shoes at the beginning of the school year. And I had it okay. It was okay. But I think that there was a lack of realizing potential. And really, again, that's what coaches do. And when you said, can Burger King and McDonald's be across the street with Wendy's on the catty corner? The answer is yes, because if you just think about how many humans are on planet Earth, I mean, there's billions. So, so what we need to do is just like think about it for a second. What if every single person on planet Earth had a mission statement and looked at what's possible in their life and then took action steps to make the possible probable? It would be a whole different world.
Yeah.
So that's why we have to talk about coaching together. Us coaches get together and talk about coaching. That's why right there.
And that is, believe it or not, the perfect point for us to go into our commercial break. So,
Okay.
so all of our loyal viewers out there, please come back after this brief break for our commercials and sponsors, for more of our conversation with Nicole Greer of Build a Vibrant Culture. Welcome back to What the Why with Barbara Ann and today's special guest, Nicole Greer of the Build a Vibrant Culture. And wear multiple hats across multiple industries, podcasts, you name it. She's doing it. Um, so tell us about, to the extent you can, some of the successes that you've had with helping individuals or companies navigate the challenges of rediscovering that perfect little person that was born to be and somehow along the way lost their compass.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm going to talk about a client, but I'm going to name her, let's see, let's name her Trish. So when I met Trish, she was very overweight, and knew it and really didn't realize how she got there. And she forgot how talented she was and forgot the potential that was inside of her. And because of maybe past successes, maybe it was over. That I mean, like I already did what I was supposed to do. But uh, here's the thing I want to say about coaching is I asked her lots of powerful questions, and I found out that she was a graduate of West Point. But you would have never known it talking to her for the first 10 minutes. That she was a diving champion at West Point. She was an engineer, which is no joke. And she got her engineering degree at West Point with all the gentlemen. So I mean, just one challenge after another she's overcome in her life, but she was in a really bad spot. Now, here's the power of coaching is that she had a safe space to explore the way she thinks, the what she believes, and to articulate like a bigger, better future, and then articulate what I call the next right steps to get there. And that's really what coaching is. Now, I didn't do nothing except ask the questions and hold the space and listen. She did all the very hard work of getting herself out of her situation. And to this day, she's riding her Peloton and running marathons and has a business and all these things. So she's absolutely living a vibrant life. But oftentimes we don't have, a partner, which is our definition from ICF, to sit with who will advocate that we can in fact do it, but also won't allow us to kind of wallow in our stuff. Because the way that we look at things in coaching is there's a past, there's a present, and there's a future. And the past is important because we want to pick up any lessons we've learned from the past. Like I said, like I watched my daddy and I was like, this is not what's going to happen to me. I'm not going to have that situation. But we realized that there's this whole lifeline, and out ahead of us is like, blue sky. It's like, what do you want to do with the days you've got left? And most people I know I'm blessed. I live in America, North Carolina. Most people I know have a lot of choice in their life. Like you get up today, you have a choice, a lot of choices. What are you going to eat? What are you going to do? What are you going to do tonight? You're going to watch Netflix or you're going to work on your future? What are you going to do? And so she chose to work on her future and to get herself in a better place. And she did all the hard work. But she needed somebody to say, you can do it and ask her the tough questions so she can like articulate. Like at first it was like a baby step, like call and find out about this. That was the step, and then later on it's like build a website, all these things. So, that's one story. And that's about a human being. And then in terms of a company, I think that sometimes what leaders need is they need to get in a room and they need to talk about where they're, again, it's the lifeline. Where are we taking this company? What does the past tell us? And what can we start doing today to change the future? So a lot of the, like you said this, um, personal coaching, professional coaching, executive coaching, team coaching, it's all got the same premise. It's like, where are we going and how are we going to get there? And getting serious about it. Because when you get there, it's so stinking fun. I mean, she's having a lot more fun than she was having when I first met her. I can tell you that much.
Sure. And I suspect a lot of that is because when we live into our purpose, it's such a different experience than when we're
Amen.
just kind of surviving.
That's
Um,
exactly right.
and so I'm so thrilled to hear that she has found her path forward. Um, so, you do all kinds of speaking engagements and things like that. Um, I guess I'm curious as to who inspires you to keep going? Because sometimes it can be really challenging for us. It's like when people are like, oh no, the coach needs coaching. What do we do?
Right. Well, I actually have a coach, so I would be kind of hypocritical if I didn't have a coach. I'm sitting here talking about how important it is. So I have a coach, and that coach sits down with me, and we have meetings, and we talk about what are you working on, where are you going to go, and what are you going to do with this one wild and wonderful life, and not deciding to like coast. So like I'm 58 years old. And I have a lot of energy, and I think it's because I'm looking forward to what is going to happen as a result of the work that I do. And I have a big picture. I don't have a job. I mean, you could say your job is coaching, your job is training, your job is doing HR audits, whatever. But I don't see it as a job. Like when I sit down with a client, I see it as helping planet Earth. I mean, some people might be like, that's a little overstated. I don't think so, because when you help one other person realize their potential and they start living into it, that's creating a little pocket of positivity in the planet. And here's what I know: if you watch the news, we need pockets of positivity. And so being able to enable people to move forward in that way. I was speaking at an event a week ago, and this guy comes up to me afterwards, and he wasn't particularly like outgoing during the event. It was a training event, and he didn't say a lot, but like he came up afterwards and he said to me, he said, "I could listen to you all day." And I thought, you just did listen to me all day. But what his point was is that he needed to hear, I'm a leader and I have these direct reports. And they don't need to just know what to do, they need to know the why. And he personally, what he was told in that meeting is that he needed to develop those people for a couple of reasons. One, to make his life easier. What's it like to have a very well-trained team? Fantastic. And secondly, because that's really his mission. You've been put into a leadership position so that more people can lead, because we need good leaders. And so it's a very holistic, maybe even like I don't know, dare I say it, like it's a spiritual thing. Like I believe that's my purpose. That's my belief.
And I believe it too. And
Yeah.
I was gonna say, and believe it or not, we are approaching time.
Oh,
It always flies so quickly.
yes, it
Um,
does.
I guess final words for someone who's thinking about um, either becoming a coach or seeking out a coach or
Mhm.
learning more about you and what you do and what your company offers.
Yeah. So if you're seeking out a coach, here's what I would suggest is that you interview several, because not everybody's for everybody. There's an energy and like there's this thing called the law of attraction, which might sound like woo woo, but you like certain genres of movies and you have other genres of movies you don't like. So it's like attraction. Like, I like this person, it feels right. So you should try on some coaches and talk to them. That's the first thing. And I wouldn't hesitate to get a coach for a hot second because you have untapped potential that needs realization and you need a partner to help you get there. Two heads are always better than one. And then I would say that maybe you could take my Shine coaching methodology to heart. So I'll just share that real quick. So the first thing you need to do is anybody who's looking to improve their life needs to do self-assessment. They need to look at that's the S in Shine. The H is habit work. You have a set of habits today that either enable you or disable you from moving forward. You have the I in Shine, which is integrity. So the way you move forward beautifully in the world is being an upstanding man or woman of integrity. So you need to look at the quality of your character and work on your character traits. Am I optimistic? Am I generous? Am I disciplined? There's a lot of characteristics there. I'm working on all of them. Then there's next right steps. If you can't set like a big goal for, 10 years from now, what are you going to get done today? Like, just pick something to start on. So always having a next right step every single day. And then working on your energy. And people have six energies and they're like, what? I thought I just had energy. No, you've got six. So there's intellectual energy. What do I need to learn? Emotional energy, how do I want to feel in this world? I can affect my own emotions and I can affect the emotions of others. It's called emotional intelligence. Then there's spiritual energy. What do I believe about life? What do I believe about the world? What do I believe about my future? What do I believe about work? Get a good belief system in place. Then there's physical energy. We all know if we feel better in our bodies, we do better work. Social energy, it's like, who do you know? Who do you know could help you? How's your network? Is your network good? You need a network. You can't do this life alone. And the final one is money. If your money's all messed up, it's really hard to live a vibrant life. So you got to get somebody to help you. You got to get a consolidation loan with a good interest rate and talk to a financial planner and get your stuff together. So those are five things right there that you can do. And if anybody wants to learn more about that, they can go to vibrantculture.com. That's the best way to get a hold of me. You can even book a little session with me to talk to me.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here and sharing with our audience. And you heard her, you know where to find her
That's right.
at vibrantculture.com. Um, so as we wrap up, we've had fabulous guests. We've got additional fabulous guests. Oh, also don't forget to check out on Vibrant Culture. Nicole also has a podcast. So,
Yeah.
um, but in addition to our other upcoming guests, they are all ages, industries, backgrounds, different challenges, different places in life, all figuring out what their purpose is, and we want to learn about it. So please tune in again to learn and be inspired about how they did what they did and how you can achieve what you set your mind to by overcoming the fear of change or failure. And if you miss all three seasons of our show are available on the What the Why page of RVN Television's website. You have so many viewing choices these days, so thank you very much for tuning in, and please tell a friend or colleague about us. And also please remember, whatever changes you may be looking to make in your company, your career, or your life, please join us for more informative and illuminating conversations with guests such as Nicole, who navigated and overcome whatever challenges might have been in their paths to find their purpose and to live it.